Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prospero.ai Stock Market Live streams. Of course, I am wearing the red shirt for the redness we are seeing across the board in the markets today. Although we are starting to fight a little bit from our lows of the day, but we are still red across the board in the QQQ, SPY, Dow, and Russell. The VIX is up. It was up well more than 10% at one point, now up about 8.5%. Welcome, everybody. Hit that like button if you're watching on X or YouTube. If you're excited for the topics we are going to get into today, we obviously have a big event taking place after the market closes today with Tesla earnings, which we already previewed on Monday, but I believe we'll probably have some more questions about it and get some last minute thoughts on them and how their signals are looking in the Prospero app before they report. JC is here. Hello, all. Today is a redness day. Yes. We are seeing red, especially in stocks that had been high flyers in the markets. A lot of the momentum names and high fast-paced growers, and a lot of the stocks that have been looking good in the Prospero signals currently giving back some of those gains today. Thinking the quantum names, the nuclear names, and a lot of those growth companies. Nick Chuchuwat is here. Happy Wednesday. Hello, Nick. Good to see you back in here. Welcome. So let's roll through some of these topics that we are going to discuss in detail throughout the stream. I'll preview them for you all, and then we'll get into them in just a moment. As usual, at the end of the stream today, we will do the model portfolio update. Actually, before we even get into the topics, let's take a peek at the QQQ and SPY net option sentiment in Prospero. I saw they were back at very low levels last time I checked, so we'll take a look now. All right, so the QQQ is at 4 and the SPY is at 0. And they have been kind of range bound at those very low levels all day today. I've seen QQQ even at 0 at different points today. So back at very low levels. Marcin is in the chat. Hello, Marcin. All of our commenters have been from the YouTube live chat. Let me share with our people watching on X who they're probably like, who are you talking to? We have a YouTube chat that I could see in our streaming setup. And then we also have the X chat that appears here too. So everybody who's watching on X, say hi as well. But when George gets in here, we'll roll right into the action we're seeing in the market today. How the Prospero signals have been mainly weak. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you saw this past Sunday, we were actually positioned short for the first time in a while. I don't know how many months was the last time since, but we were 3 longs and 4 shorts, kind of anticipating some weakness in the markets, and we are getting that. I want to ask George, is what we're seeing with this current market pullback anything out of the ordinary, or is this just a little bit of seasonality? We had a lot of high-flying companies. We had a lot of bullish action in the markets for a while. People were kind of expecting a bit of a pullback. So anything to be concerned about, or is he going to be looking to buy some of these dips that we are seeing? Also, there's an FOMC meeting next week, and a rate cut is very much so priced in at this point. So could that be the date investors have circled on their calendars? And will that be when the market starts flipping back, maybe in a bit more of a bullish direction? Also, we were highlighting the rally that has been taking place in gold, and yesterday was a historic day in the other direction for gold. Prices fell quite a bit, but it wasn't just gold, it was also silver. So I'll give you some of the stats surrounding what happened there and why it was historic. But maybe why this trend can resume even when the markets get a little more bullish and gold is back heading in the green direction. What is propelling these these metals, gold and silver, to be more and more expensive? Then I want to take a look at some of the momentum names specifically. So we'll get into more detail on if George thinks any of the dips should be bought that we're currently seeing. So I have a lot of stocks listed, but as usual, if you guys want to hear any other companies brought up when we talk about this, right now I have ASTS, Oklo, NBIS, Bloom Energy, Hood, and Cipher to bring up as specific looks into stocks that have looked really good in the signals and have had major moves, and if they should be bought up. But if you want to add anything to that list, feel free to comment them right now. Go on right ahead, and we'll bring it up when we get into that later on. Nick, BYND. That's so funny you say that because that's actually my next topic on my list. So BYND, Beyond Meat, is rallying, and it was short squeezing, but I think with the how the market was looking so weak today, it kind of gave back a lot of those gains we were seeing today. Let's check on it now. It was actually red at some point. Well, it's back up 5%, but this morning it was up over 100%, and it is up 500% in the past week. So don't worry, Nick. Beyond Meat has a full segment to itself. We'll talk about why it's short squeezing. And it's funny because George made that comparison with the meat industry and Robinhood on Monday. And then lo and behold, the Beyond stock move happens this week, which is pretty crazy. They halted the stock, which I think hurt it. Oh, yeah. That always kind of wrecks the momentum. I feel like it's because they got halted. Yep. That's probably it. Exchanges again. Well, we're seeing a pretty weak day overall. So I would expect with the weakness we're seeing in the markets to see a stock like that kind of be a little bit weak too. But the halting of it never helps. That kind of really messes with the momentum. We got a few more topics. There is a petition going around in the business world, and it's becoming quite popular. It has over 600 signatures on it, and this petition is to end efforts to create a super intelligence. And there are some pretty interesting names on there, which I will wait to reveal until we talk about it later. But we'll get George's opinion on it. I always, I always feel a little interesting or whatever. I don't know, hesitant to bring up stories like this on our stream since we are an AI company, but I don't know. I feel like we have to talk about everything. And yeah, so we'll get into that later on. And I feel like there's also a difference, which we'll talk about later when we get into this topic, like AI being used for services and then a super intelligence. Like I think they're kind of two separate things. So we'll get into all of that later on when we get into that discussion. Nick Chuchuat, it's like they learned from GME era and are ready to halt sooner now. Yeah, they don't even wait, right? They get right to the halts immediately. They're like, all right, let's end this party as quickly as possible. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to hear George's thoughts on the Beyond Meat situation. Uh, Beyond has always seemingly been pretty bad in the Prospero signals. I'm actually curious now that we're talking about it. It's still really bad in terms of upside to downside, but it does have a high net option sentiment. And wow, net option sentiment has gone crazy. This is a weird chart in Prospero. Plus, it has 100 short pressure, 87 net social. I would be pretty surprised if this was the end of the Beyond Meat story with these signals. I mean, upside and downside is pretty negative, but that level of short pressure, net social, net options, dark pool, it looks like there's more volatility in the future, I would say. Is that the top of the list on Monday? There you go. Two more stories to bring up. I want to highlight Palantir on the stream today because we were talking about Palantir seemingly every stream for like, probably like a 2 month stretch back over the summer when they were making new high after new high after new high, and people were doubting that they could support the valuations. And it's interesting because they've kind of hung around at those high levels, even though they've kind of stopped having the momentum upward. They are within like 10% or so. I think even less, maybe like 7 or 8% of their all-time high still. And they're not one of those stocks that's dropping like 10, 15% today. They're down like 3.5% right now. So we'll bring up Palantir back on the stream, what George's most recent thoughts are on it, and maybe if they're just going to have to grow into their valuation that they're trading at currently over time. But maybe they're not going to offer a big drop to investors that are wanting to get in on Palantir. Someone on Discord mentioned the NOS on Monday for Beyond. It's times like this where I wish I could share my screen, with you all. But I'm sure we'll probably make a Beyond Meat short, and I always add the charts in there. But yeah, if you have the Prospero app, bring up BYND Beyond. Net option sentiment went from 0 on October 9th all the way up to as high as 74 on October 21st, so yesterday, and it's currently at 75. And it's basically a vertical like line up and to the right over the course of the graph. Very little pullbacks. a little sideways trend at points, but basically straight ups, which is pretty crazy. So uh, a weird looking stock right now for sure. And if you look at the chart of Beyond the stock, it was like abysmal for so long. I mean, it was trending lower and lower and lower for literally its entire stock history. So um, yeah, pretty crazy to see what's going on there. The NOS signals are crazy for it. Nick Chuchuwat. You can see it spike last Friday right before it goes wild on Monday. It's almost as if the Prospero signals predicted it, huh? I guess some people were positioning for a short squeeze rally in it. I think I have seen over the course of this year Beyond Meat on several lists when people share like the stocks that are the most shorted in the market. So it's kind of like a ticking time bomb. I feel like when you're on those lists and you're upwards towards 50% of your shares shorted. I'm not exactly sure where Beyond was, but yeah, crazy. Marcin, something odd with Beyond price glitching up to 500. It glitched up to 500 per share. I hadn't caught wind of that. Is that real, Marcin? When did it do that? Did it do that this week, today, or sometime earlier this week? That's wild. That's kind of like that reminds me of when GME and AMC were going crazy, and people were had price targets of like literally hundreds of dollars per share like that. But yeah, that was probably just a glitch, right? I doubt that was really real. That's what I see on the app. Oh, in Prospero for Beyond. Oh yeah, I see that now too. Oh yeah, we'll have to ask George about that. I didn't notice that. Yeah, interesting. We'll have to ask George why that's happening. I wonder what the answer. I've never seen something like that before. Good catch. Nick said I did not see that, Marcin. It's been on my screen all day. I know. Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. That's weird. I've never seen something like that for a stock in Prospero. Um, one more topic to go through. By the way, we've had 500 people in the stream already, and George just texted me saying he's going to be a little bit late. He's going to be in the stream at 3:20 probably. So 8 more minutes for George to get on in here. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me, and you could stick around with me for the next 8 minutes. But if anybody has things to do, stocks to look at, you're not going to really miss much until George gets in here. Then, so you got about 8 minutes. But hit that like button if you've been enjoying it so far. Nick said, "Oh, the app. I see it. Yeah, it's in the Prospero app." Mario's in here. What's up, Mario? Stephen, when you talk about a graph of changes for the different Prospero metrics, is that something we have available when we have the app? When you talk about oh yeah, so when I'm talking about the time series graph, Mario, that's when you pull up like any single stock in Prospero. You'll get the long-term signals, you'll get the short-term signals, and those are like the hexagons with all of the different metrics and data. But then if you keep scrolling down, you'll see the time series graphs, which is just net option sentiment, upside breakout, downside breakout, and it's just the last few weeks of how those signals have been trending. And George likes to look at that when he's taking positions because you can see kind of whether momentum is building or declining for a company. So it's kind of an added layer of confidence when you're looking at the signals. If like say you're going long in a stock and net option sentiment has been rising, it's like kind of a confidence builder in the direction of the signal. Marcin said, Stephen, what's your position in Prospero? Well, thank you for asking, Marcin. So up until about a week ago, my position was just a co-host of these live streams and editing all of our shorts clips that we post on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and kind of doing some other. Honestly, I would do whatever George asked me, but I had really no. I guess I was like a social media manager or something like that. But I just got promoted recently to being full time at Prospero, which is cool. And George told me I'm the chief of staff, but I guess I'm a George assistant. That's how I would like to term myself. Basically, whatever I'm asked to do, I will do. So I still handle all the social stuff, but then whatever Prospero needs from me, I'm here for. So that's my position at Prospero. Reddit NOS down to 49. Ooh, let's take a look at Reddit and Prospero. Congrats. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. I've been at Prospero since May of 2023. So that would be 2.5 years now. So congrats, onwards and upwards. Thank you. Thank you, Marcin. All right, I'm pulling up Reddit. Hey, Jonathan, congrats, well-deserved promotion. Thank you. A lot of you guys have been joining these live streams for years now, so it's pretty crazy, right? To see the growth that Prospero's had, the growth of the live streams. Once you're around the signals for not only months, but then years, you get a lot of confidence in them, see the work time and time again. So it's been great working at Prospero. It's been really a blessing. So I appreciate what Prospero has given me. All right. I'm looking at Reddit right now. Reddit still has a very high upside of 88, but quite a low, actually, yeah, and quite a low downside of 37. Yes, net option sentiment is at 49, and it was majority of its time series graph in the 70s, 80s range. It did have one dip down, which if you look actually at Reddit in the Prospero app and look at that time series graph, the last time net option sentiment dipped down really hard was to 29, and just one day after that happened, the stock dropped quite a bit. So we'll have to keep our eyes on Reddit and the overall market, really. We've now seen multiple pretty big red days recently. So we are in this end of October seasonality weakness time period. But is something brewing, or are we just kind of digesting the bullish move that we've had so far? I do have one more story, which we'll see. We'll do our best to get to these stories today with our time being crunched. We like to end and leave about 15 minutes before 4 p.m. for the model portfolio update. So we're going to have literally like 25 minutes of topics here. So we'll try to run through them as quickly as possible. But UNH is going to be using a new AI system for claims. And UNH has been one of those stocks where, in the history books, 2025, UNH will be in that with the crazy downward move it made. Now rising, the Prospero signals were looking super bullish in UNH for a while, but net option sentiment is now down to 53 for them. So actually, I didn't know that. Net option sentiment went from 96 to 53 for UNH. So that's something to keep our eyes on. That's a big drop too. So yeah, but it seems like a lot of people have mixed feelings on UNH. The fact that they're going to be shifting the onus of their claim system from people to AI, I wonder if that will give them any, less responsibility for them in terms of the backlash they get sometimes for some of those decisions. And they were also saying that more claims get accepted with this new system. So that would also be beneficial for them, most likely. Tesla NOS also down 20 points since last Friday. Tesla NOS dropping. I think I was looking at Tesla before, and their upside was still pinned at 100, which is just a straight line. Yes, it's been at 100 for the entire graph, but you're right. NOS is now down to 68, which is the short-term predictor, upside long-term. So we'll have to see. On Monday, when we talked about Tesla, George kind of gave two avenues for earnings this afternoon. One where the results are a little disappointing, but with what Elon Musk says or what he announces or whatever he says on the call, the stock will be able to kind of climb from there. Or a double bullish where the earnings are good and Elon Musk also adds on top of it. So it didn't seem like he really saw much of a bearish move in terms of probabilities, but we'll get his latest thoughts on it today. It could have changed with how weak the market has been so far today. Sean Grant, based on your signals and QQQ and SPY, managed to pivot into cash the day before Trump hit China with new tariffs. Haven't been hit with this correction. Slaint from Dublin, Ireland. Let's go, Sean. I'm glad to see the Prospero signals have been helping you manage your portfolio, especially with this market turmoil. If you guys haven't seen, we actually released our Prospero 9-month review of how our signals have performed so far this year. We released it on, George posted it on LinkedIn. We also released a Twitter thread of it, which is on X. So you can check out our performance that we've had so far this year with the signals, which sectors have worked, everything. It's a long thread. There's like 15 different tweets on it, so it's pretty in detail. Wow, thank you guys for sticking here with me. I think we are about to get into the topics any moment, so appreciate you all hanging out. Okay, I was wondering what that meant, Sean. Slaint, am I saying it right? Slaint, or is it like slainty? Is Irish for cheers? Cheers, buddy. There you go. I learned a new word today. I don't need Duolingo anymore. That's a callback from Monday when we were talking about Duolingo on the streams. All right, let's see if we can look at any of these major moves. Actually, let's look at Bitcoin too. Is Bitcoin down today with the market? Wow, Bitcoin is almost completely flat. Pronounced slancha? Really? Slancha. I can't say it with an Irish accent though. It probably sounds better when you say it with a nice Irish brogue. So it's interesting. Bitcoin is up today. And I think if I'm seeing this correctly, are the overall markets kind of fighting their way back right now? It really looks like it. So the SPY is now only down 0.5%. And at the low of the day, it was down 1%. So it's got half of those gains it gave back already. And the QQQ is now still down over 1%, but it's also up over 0.5% from the lows. Everything is trending in the upward direction at the moment. Wow, the Russell was down 2.5% today. You got to know how to say slancha. I didn't know. You know, I'm part Irish too, so I should really I should have known that, Marcin. My bad. Now, the more you know. Now I know forever. Let's look at the VIX. VIX popped above 20 today. It was up 16% at the most, and now it is only up 6%, dropping 10% since 2 p.m. So in the last hour and 22 minutes, we've really seen the markets calm down. I was kind of getting ready for the Prospero streams, researching topics, and then I've been chatting here with you. Did anything change, or are we just seeing some dip buying come in? Has anybody seen any news headlines come out since we've been chatting about why the market would be finding a bottom for today, getting a stronger footing? Let us know in the chat if you do. Ah, my savior, George is here. Hello, George.
Things to talk about. Sorry, guys. I'm having a crazy day.
It's okay. It was pretty good. The chat was asking good questions. We were able to manage pretty smoothly in the meantime. And you know what? It's actually maybe it's a blessing that you were a bit late because the markets are moving a bit more green than if you had been here right in the beginning. So it's a whole different discussion we can have. It's not that they're, heading to be green on the day, but we are well off our lows for the day for most of the markets, between 0.5% and 1% right now. Just in the past hour. The Prospero signals were quite low when we looked at the beginning of the stream. Let's get our latest refresh and see how they're looking. So the QQQ is up to 7 now, and I think at some point today it was at 0. SPY is still down at 0. A lot going on today, George. A lot of stocks making big moves, especially the momentum movers, some of the high flyers, a lot of the high growth sectors that we've been covering. How are you feeling about what you're seeing in the market today? Any surprises to you? I would imagine not, with how our signals have been looking. And I have some more follow-ups, but maybe we could just start there for now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reviewing. I mean, at least ASTS is up a little bit. I mean, our signals have been pretty bearish, right? I don't think they're reflective of, a lot of confidence in the market right now. So, when we see this is kind of what, we're not seeing the strong bull momentum that we've seen, and our signals, seem to be a bit out in front of this. So yeah, another win for them.
Are you seeing anything either in the signals, in the headlines that surrounding the markets, or in just the market movements that would lead you to believe this is anything out of the normal, or a larger downside is on the horizon, a risk of that? Or is this kind of just, the seasonality of the end of October? We've rallied a lot. Everybody was expecting a pullback. Now it's happening and it's nothing really more to worry about. How are you feeling about all of that?
No, I mean, I'd say that uh that we were in such a rally, there was going to be like a correction, right? The only question is it a correction, or is it going to turn into something larger than that?
So we have our FOMC meeting next week, currently at just about 99% odds of a rate cut. Could that kind of be a schedule of when maybe we have another couple few market days of weakness, and then with that rate cut, a shift in the sentiments of the markets? Do you think that can be the catalyst for maybe the end of whatever current pullback we're having? And then as we get into more seasonally better months, November, December, kind of see another leg upwards of the markets?
Um, so I just have a few little moves to make here. Too busy.
Well, I can let the
Um,
chat on YouTube know that our friendly neighborhood Nightbot just shared our investing newsletter link and our trading newsletter link. So if you're not a subscriber to those, you could click on them, check them out, possibly subscribe. They're right there in the chat for you.
yeah, I'm back. Sorry, can you repeat the last question?
So the FOMC meeting next week, could that spur the next leg of the market rally?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still in, I still think, we're in the diamond hands market until further notice. There's going to be a correction. And I mean, I think we were fooled by this various times earlier in the year. And I'm not going to, lose out on, every long, lose our upside exposure. Like I think we're probably still in the buy the dip market.
Very interesting, especially I was not aware of this stat until we released it from Prospero about how quant hedge funds are actually on average negative year to date, not just underperforming the SPY, but actually negative overall. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's traditional quantitative strategies, especially ones that are going to be dependent on things like RSI. Um, they're basically not they're doing exactly what I just said. And we did it a few times this year before we got smarter, where when the market starts to turn, you assume that there's going to be more mean reversion than this market is demonstrating. It hasn't demonstrated that much mean reversion. And actually, it's demonstrating, some corrections. And if you look at any chart anywhere, you're going to see, on the longer term, you're going to see some red candles, even in a sea of green candles. But I think those funds are losing because they assume some of these red candles are going to turn into bigger red candles, and you know, since April they really haven't.
So now those funds are thought of as being like the smartest people within Wall Street, right? So does that just show you how abnormal this market has been? And you would expect either those people to adjust and be able to succeed soon, or maybe the market will, since it's been abnormal, will adjust and they will be right sooner than later, and maybe we will be red. So how do you kind of think about all of that?
I mean, sooner or later they will be right, but looks more like later now. It could be sooner, right? But we keep on seeing it come back. I mean, even QQQ net option sentiment, bouncing back to 7 today. It's like even on a day where like a lot of these growth names were just getting slammed, it's coming back already in the afternoon. Like there are buyers at these prices. And whether that's, retail buyers buying the dip and momentum traders, like accelerating that momentum, um, or it's just an expectation that this is going to be a good earnings season again. And you don't, that, even when these stocks get hit a little bit, those are going to be good prices relative to where they announce earnings. It's really hard to say, but we do know these dips just keep getting bought.
So yesterday, gold declined over 5%, which was its largest one-day drop in over 12 years. So back in April 2013. Combined, the gold and silver drop yesterday, the overall market caps between them lost $3 trillion of wealth. So we're seeing gold rise today. It's been on a meteoric rise for the past month or so, so it was bound to drop as well. So it's looking like it's acting a little bit more normal today, with it being green as the market is red. We also just lost your camera, George. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'll just keep setting you up for the gold if you're still there. Um, Probably a major reason, which this was I came across this on X, was of why gold has rallied so much, is the fact that global M2, which is the global money supply, has crossed the $140 trillion mark for the first time in history. So we all know, as the governments print money, the money supply goes up. All assets are set to rise with that as money is inflated. The hard assets like gold, which have a fixed cap, gold, Bitcoin, stocks, real estate, all of them obviously perform well. So just crazy seeing what's happening in gold. 5% drop, first time in 12 years. 3 trillion in wealth wiped away in a 24-hour period, and global money supply crossing $140 trillion. I think we all can just say we want just like 0.00001% of that, right? But I don't know where George went. We'll see if George is back. Oh,
I'm back. Are we talking about gold?
we were talking about gold. Yes.
Sorry, it's been,
Um,
yeah, it's been a day. Yeah, we are talking about gold, and I think that, it really fits in well with the other thing that we were talking about, right? It's just everything's due for a correction. I mean, I think gold, um, we talked about, it's in this kind of, the buy the dip market, it's not going to do as well as the growth name. So as long as, until we really see a sign that this is like not just like a correction, but there's really, more of a puncture in the buy the dip market. Gold, we talked about this, I think it was last week. Part of what's interesting about gold right now is um it's kind of that, it's something that it seems to do well as this market goes up, but also is kind of like a hedge against a broader market decline, as well. Any, instability, anything like that. So, I mean, I think what we got is a big rise on this idea that there could be tensions raising with China. And now that, that seems to be fizzling a little bit. Um, I think that that's what we're seeing, this decline. I think that got really bought up to a premium and, a fever pitch again last week. And then, I think, some other things might have become attractive again this week.
So before you got here, we were chatting about Beyond Meat for a bit, because everybody's been amazed at what they're seeing with that company, and the Prospero signals are actually pretty wild for it too. And you even saw it on Monday, being highlighted by the signals. We are curious. There, it looks like there's a glitch in Prospero. The price is showing as 500, so people were just curious and wanted to bring that to your attention. But besides that, the downside, steadily decreasing, upside rising. The net option sentiment trend, pretty insane. Short pressure being at 100. The stock was up 100% today at one point before being halted. Now it's up about 5%. Are you going to steer clear of this company? Do you think the short squeeze potential in this one has more room to go? How do you feel about Beyond Meat?
Um, I see it at 74 downside.
Are
You
you
said
talking about
100?
like the 500? Yeah. So like if you look at the time series graph for the share price, it goes to like 500.
Oh, damn. Um, so when that happens, you see that happen, like we just did like the last price at that time. You see that in after hours. sometimes. I think there was probably just, you know, someone covering some shares at that price. That's not a fluke in that, you do see it bounce like that and after hours sometimes. So that was the last recorded price at that time. But what we don't do that some other platforms do is they'll do like a lot of price blending. We just take last. Typically that doesn't happen, but that might be a reflection of like the weird, like that might be actually a reflection of a lot of covering that happened at weird prices. Um, that is definitely interesting.
That's
But
wild.
yeah, but I don't like to play short squeezes like this. I mean, it is interesting to see the downside go up so much and the upside go up so much. Net ops sentiment looks good, but we're still talking about a 16 upside company, uh, an 18 profitability and 23 growth company. This is just like a pure short squeeze. And I played something like, rocket companies earlier in the year, open, because that's a little more interesting in terms of it's a little more broad, the potential there. But no, like this one's not for me. But good luck, and I'm glad Prospero helped some people find it. I think some people found it momentum score. I think some people found it in the list of like short squeezes, highest short pressure. So I'm happy that it worked. But no, it's not really for me.
That's an interesting point you make about the upside to downside levels right now. It's almost like the Prospero signals are snitching on the fact that the only thing that's interesting about this company is the short squeeze narrative. Because I feel like some people they they like the momentum that they see in a short squeeze, and then they convince themselves that the company has upside itself. That's really not
Yeah,
the case here. It's just the short squeeze.
that happens way too often.
Yeah.
And you see it, and you see people like, and what you often see in these short squeezes is you see people like cherry picking a few like business things, like, oh, they got this contract and that, and it's not really a holistic picture of the business. And the holistic picture of the business is that they're not doing well in profitability, and they're not really growing that much. And irrespective of all of that, I like, even if they had a better business, I think with this, like, there's a lot of momentum behind like this anti-woke stuff. And I think like Beyond Meat is, probably what would be viewed as in like the woke category, like at least adjacent to that. So I don't even like the macro trend. Like in prior administrations, you might say that there was a positive catalyst to this, art, like non-meat. But in this anti-woke world, uh no, I don't see it.
So Nick is wondering about this 500 share thing, and if that 500 share price was legit, that would be like I think a 10,000% gain in like a single moment. So is there any chance that's like a random glitch, or like you're 100% confident like that is a real price that was someone covered at?
Can't can't say. I don't know if it's a glitch in the ledger, or there's a real price that someone covered at. You see it all the time. If anybody watches after hours things, even in the major brokers, you see just like a single price glitch. It's very, very hard to know, like, because if you ever approach a if you ever approach a broker and actually ask them, they'll say it's a glitch.
Does that
Ah,
update daily in Prospero? So like tomorrow it'll be some other price?
no, I mean that's it. Like the time series graph is a single point in time. Um, so at that single point in time, that's what we pulled as last price.
All right, we got
Um,
it. We got a rapid
JC,
fire. All right,
you're
JC
giving me
first.
the exact like kind of question that I was talking about. Like that's just one cherry pick thing. Like sure, they might be in Walmart. Is it changing their revenue projection? Like cuz right now their revenue projection isn't very good. Like that is actually the perfect example of what I'm talking about. This thing circulates like, oh, they're going to be in Walmart. They could be in 3 test stores for Walmart, right? Like how broad is the rollout? Like yeah, that's you actually just gave me the perfect example of what I'm talking about.
We got a rapid fire some topics, so let me move us on along. George, this one, because I know you've talked about Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, before on the stream, so this one caught my attention. He is currently leading a petition against AI development. So him, as well as Steve Wozniak, Richard Branson, Yoshua Bengio, have all signed to end efforts to create a super intelligence. Now, when I was talking about this in the beginning of the stream, I feel like there's a difference between like AI used for services like Prospero and ChatGPT at its current state, but then like a super intelligence is a whole another beast of its own. I feel like. Do you kind of agree? Would you be signing this petition with these fellow AI creators?
I mean, I might sign a petition if I thought it was going to do any good. I don't think it's going to do any good. Um, and I don't even know what these assholes are doing, right? Like, it's like, oh, like they all proliferated this shit, and now they're just like, oh, well, now we don't know. I bet if they were making more money off of it, they might have a different tune. No, I actually don't think that part is true. I do think Jeffrey Hinton and some of these other people are legitimately worried, but it's too late. Like, nobody cares. Like, I've told this story a few times, and maybe I shouldn't call them out individually, given these climates. But I was on a panel at a conference with a senior leader in the first Trump administration in technology, in the second one, and his official position was you don't stifle progress, or it was like you don't stifle innovation, and like at no cost do you stifle innovation. So I put that to you like this, because if the government is not going to do anything to stifle innovation, you certainly are not going to count on any of these companies to do it. I saw this hilarious like a short about it was first, it was Sam Altman getting a question on climate change and being like, just very nonchalantly, like, oh, that's not a problem. AI is going to solve that. And then, like, it cuts to Mark Zuckerberg being like, AI is going to cure all the diseases. And then it actually cuts to, and then it's like, well, what is AI doing now? And it cuts to a commercial of like Mark Zuckerberg, like showing off. He's like, Jarvis, make me some toast. And it makes toast. And it's just like, yeah. I think that was a Jon Stewart thing, actually. Um, so no, these people actually like their own cooking so much that they actually believe that it's going to solve climate change. And if you think about the implication of what that means for what it would do, like if you're going to solve climate change, like I've actually thought about this. I'm a bit of a futurist myself. Like some of the things that have been proposed are like rebuilding, freezing ice with nanobots. We've also talked about like putting nanobots to in the sky to block the sun. There's a lot of nanobot stuff, but there's other solutions. So that's the world that they're looking at. Sending an army of nanobots that are probably very smart to fix these problems. It's concerning. And not only that, you're just going to be like, they're probably not going to give it much other direction than just like solve this major problem. And by the time you're doing that, you've really lost all control. So I think these people are right, but where I differ is like, I view that as I view this AI thing as a similar thing to asking, like signing a petition to have no more wars, right? I view it very similarly. It's like, okay, yeah, like would it be great if there were no more wars? Like, is my signature doing anything other than maybe putting me on a list that like the robot AI technocrats might end up sending those nanobots first at me? No, thank you.
Well, I'm wondering, it's seeming like to me like AI is more and more like the modern day Oppenheimer. Like he was developing that technology with all of these like existential fears in mind. He didn't know if it was going to end the world or whatever. And I'm wondering, are the leaders of AI today like charging ahead and developing, but they also are having these, it seems like they're having these existential thoughts of like, oh, well, is this actually going to be beneficial or hurtful? So I guess we're going to be getting not an Oppenheimer movie, but a Hinton movie in like 2 or 3 decades from now about what was actually
Oh, they
occurring.
know. I mean, what
Mhm.
they know is our days are numbered for us to actually like stop this. It might already be like I actually um I actually have an article that went in TechCrunch today. Or Crunchbase. I'll share it. That is actually about this. Uh called How Do We Know When Super Intelligence is Here? and and some of the things that I'm talking about are definitely like it might already be here.
Interesting. So everybody click on that, give it a read after the stream today. I just want to get your thoughts on two more stocks quickly before our switch over. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it so far. Hit that like button if you're watching on X, YouTube, subscribe, and follow. Your thoughts on Palantir and UNH. I was going to bring them up in more detail, but they were just such high flyers, very popular stocks in our signals. We talked about them a lot this year. I feel like we haven't covered them in a bit. So just your latest thoughts on both of those stocks.
Um, UNH really took a plunge. It's at 53 net option sentiment. My thoughts on it are get the hell out. There might be something coming. Palantir looks a little still at 59 upside. 82 net option sentiment is a little better, but I think we like Palantir as like a stock overall, but I think there are better options.
And with that being said, time to do the model portfolio. And we have Tesla earnings after the bell, but we'll be right back with you, George, on the other side. Everybody can stick around. If it's your first stream, what we're about to do is model portfolio update, which is when George makes live moves, adds and drops, longs and shorts to the model portfolio. So don't go anywhere. You're about to get some great value and see how we use the signals for our own model portfolio, which has outperformed the market quite a lot in the past couple of years. Let's take another peek at the QQQ and SPY net options sentiments and a look at the markets. Are they still increasing? Okay. So yes, the QQQ, SPY, Russell, even the Dow ever so slightly are all creeping on upwards here as we wrap into the close today. The VIX is now only up 4%. Wow. It was up 16% at some point today. Let's take a look at Tesla actually too before its earnings report. I saw it was a little bit red. Tesla's also leading the charge back upwards. So they peaked at just about 3% down on the day, now only down 1%. And Tesla's upside breakout was looking great, pinned at 100 in the Prospero app. Net option sentiment a little bit lower at 68. So it's going to be an interesting earnings in just about 20 or so minutes from now. Ooh, I just pulled up QQQ in the Prospero app. It's back to 0. Interesting. Maybe this climb in the markets isn't going to last. We'll see. You always know it makes that 10-minute push from 3:50 to 4 p.m. So we'll see what happens. But QQQ is back at 0. SPY is at 4. So the signals are looking low in the Prospero app. Um, let's look at the short-term bull list. We have Alibaba, Amazon, Meta. Lululemon is back in the short-term bull list. Interesting. Google, Intel, Apple, another Google, Microsoft, and Nvidia. So the mega cap tech stocks are dominating the short-term bull list at the moment. So that is an update because there was a lot of other stocks holding those positions in recent days and weeks. So it's looking like people are maybe flocking to their highest conviction companies, the ones they know for sure have the best, safest growth in the future and very reliable businesses. Oh, interesting. UNH, wow, UNH net option sentiment's very volatile. It's back up over 90 now. So it's been flashing everywhere throughout the stream. It was down in the 50s before, now back up to 90. So we'll have to see how that closes as well. Take a look at Bitcoin and Nvidia. We haven't peeked at NVIDIA yet. NVIDIA was red as well today. NVIDIA is, everything's moving so similarly, I feel like, in the market today. Just on different like scales, but everything moved all together, dipped down lower, and everything kind of trending back higher now, it looks like. So a lot of stuff is moving very similarly today. I had to skip over some topics, so I'm sorry if any of you were excited for like the the highlight of some of our single stock movers like Oklo and the bunch of those that we are going to bring up on the stream. If you still want to hear us chat about them, and maybe if they continue to make big moves throughout the rest of the week, we can always bring them back up on Monday. For those that are new, we stream Mondays at 11 a.m., Wednesdays at 3 p.m. So you don't have to wait too long for our next stream. All right. Is anybody holding Tesla through the earnings today? Let's see in the chat. Who's holding Tesla stock? You guys got to be excited. Nothing will beat that one NVIDIA earnings report. I think it was a few reports ago now, maybe even like last summer. So like the summer of 2024, when there was NVIDIA watch parties for their earnings, and Jensen Huang did the famous signing in his leather jacket. That was crazy. That was like the most hyped up earnings ever. JC, I'm a long-term holder of it. Nick, I don't actually know what's going on when George is doing live portfolio moves. He's checking the signals. It's basically you're seeing like what's the expression? How the pudding is made. You're seeing like the back end of the newsletter that gets built and the model portfolio swaps that are made.
Yep. You got an updated QQQ SPY from me?
I do, and QQQ is back to 0, and SPY is at 1 right now.
Bad news.
I'm guessing with those levels, you're not really interested in like taking a flyer on Tesla.
No, I think someone was like inaccurately reporting that it had 100 net option sentiment too. They might be concerned like 68 net option sentiment is no good for Tesla. I mean, I would bet on it more having a good earnings than a bad earnings, just because of the way. I mean, good earnings price wise than what people has. But I don't want to bet, and not in this environment. I don't want to bet on it. It's the downside. If it's down, it's going to be severely down.
Sean said Tesla is a roulette table. Plenty of more stocks in the sea. Very well said.
Okay. God, this is a long day. Did I do this? Yes. It's not getting copied over well.
We are not sharing screen yet, if that's purposeful or not. Mario said QuantumScape reports earnings this afternoon also. QS is the ticker.
Quantum's getting killed. I almost shorted QUBT last week, but I didn't have the guts. I should have. That would have worked out. That would have worked out really well. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. All right. I think I closed 2 of the UU positions yesterday. That's bad timing. Hood dipping below a 50 momentum score is a big deal. That must mean people are worried about the market. That is a definite big deal. Right there, 34.
Your screen is not shared, George.
Oh, damn it. Wish you would have told me that earlier.
I said it, and I didn't know if you heard me or not, so I was debating to say it again or not. I wasn't sure what was going on.
No, I definitely didn't hear you. Wow. Holy shit. This is annoying. All of these. This can't. I'm very surprised. No, okay. Yeah. Is this right? Okay, I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. Okay. That is still a lot, but oh god, on this day now I still need a bunch of these. I shouldn't even do longs, but to be honest. But gotta get it filled out at least. Okay. God, all these financial services just non-stop. All right, now is there anything interesting here? What not? That's hard to ignore. Cigna. Just add a little bit of balance here. Okay. All right, we're going to do that. And then we're going to take a look at this. It was a good day for this portfolio. For all the chaos. Oh yeah, I think we're getting rid of UNH. Is UNH a profit? Yeah, it is. Okay, we're definitely getting rid of UNH. Getting rid of UNH and maybe adding CI. Well, let's see what we're doing on the short side first. What's going on with Pony? Prospero.ai. I'm not getting into Pony. Not right now. We could be coming back tomorrow. What do we have? Baba's. Maybe we take Baba for a little ride. It fared a little better today. Oh, wait. UNH is back up to 95. Never mind. Maybe we'll just add. Oh, we have Zion too. I forgot we had Zion. Okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah. I know what we're doing now. Okay. Okay. We are getting into AL and exiting. But that's it. Any questions?
SoFlo is just saying SE signals appear strong. Tesla's currently down 1.5%. Not sure if it's actually released yet. We should mention our crowdfund, 8 days left.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll mention it at the end. 8 days left. We're over 370 now. Oh, 376. So yeah, we passed 375. I'm hopeful that we can get to 500. I think a lot of these things get momentum at the end. I hope you'll go to the page. I always encourage people to read reviews. And yeah, if you like what we're doing, want to see us be able to build more, the best way is, to have our roadmap accelerate is to invest.
I think the crowdfund is going to be like a fireworks show where there's a grand finale in the last like 48 hours probably.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. But without further ado, that's going to do it for the stream today. It looks like Tesla is not moving much, so maybe waiting for the Elon Musk earnings call. So we'll have to keep our eyes. They're currently down 0.33%. JC actually has a question. Is that 376K just for round 2 or cumulative?
I don't know what you mean by round 2, but it's for the whole thing.
For the whole shebang of the Republic crowdfund raise, 370K total. But all right, everybody, thanks for sticking around. If you were here in the beginning till the end, appreciate you. We will see you all Monday at 11 a.m. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Thank you, George. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.